I made a GoFundMe and they're trying to send me a life sentence. You know what I mean? Like, how does that make any sense? This is the goofiest court case I've ever heard.
We're bringing on Reckless Ben Schneider, the man behind the viral alleged stolen Lego controversy that has taken social media by storm. I want to get his take on what's going on and how he's navigating the criminal charges and the lawsuit he now faces. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. All right, before we jump into this, did you know that Father's Day is like right around the corner? Yeah, I didn't even realize it. And if you're looking for what is that perfect gift for all the dads out there, I want you to meet the Chef IQ Sense Smart Meat Thermometer. This is the secret to stress-free restaurant-level cooking. So whether you're a seasoned grill master or maybe just trying to throw some steaks on this summer, the Smart Thermometer, it's a game changer. There's no more overcooking. There's no more, I think this might be done. No. Chef IQ tells you exactly when your meat is ready every step of the way. You just insert the wireless probe, you select your preferences, and then you hang out. You relax while you wait for the app alerts without even having to hover over the grill. It also works with ovens and smokers and stovetops, air fryers, and for every protein, from prime rib to wings to salmon. Seriously, this Father's Day, it's time to raise the stakes, no pun intended, and cook with confidence. Use code SIDEBAR for 40% off site-wide at chefiq.com. Okay, so if you've been online at all in the last 2 weeks, you've probably seen a lot of clips of this. We just did a sidebar on it. There's a YouTuber getting handcuffed, a police raid, a dispute over Lego that somehow involves stalking charges, redacted body cam footage, a GoFundMe that has raised over $400,000. The YouTuber is Benjamin Schneider. He goes by Reckless Ben. Nearly 1 million subscribers. His whole brand is going after what he calls corrupt organizations, cults, haunted houses, troubled teen facilities. Essentially, he believes that there are criminal cases out there that are not getting the right attention. He goes out and takes care of it himself. Now, he apparently finds legal loopholes, he documents everything, and he shuts them down.
Journalist is kind of a weird word. I'm a YouTuber. People email me stories, and then I go in. Basically, it's usually corrupt organizations. I go in, and then I think the thing that separates me from other people is I don't just report on it. I actually take it to the next step and like shut them down.
So his latest target is a company called Bricks and Minifigs. It's a Lego resale chain, apparently headquartered out in Utah. Here's the backstory. An Oregon family, a father and his son, had a massive Star Wars Lego collection. Hundreds of box sets, thousands of rare minifigures, valued at around $200,000. Now, the plan was to sell it through a Bricks and Minifigs franchise on consignment. Now, the store would sell the Lego, keep a cut, family gets the rest. But according to Ben, when corporate took over that franchise, the new owners, identified or reportedly identified as Joshua Johnson and Brandon Best, refused to return the collection or pay the family. And the family essentially claims they got gypped, they got robbed. Now, Ben got involved, and he apparently helped them file a lawsuit, but he claims in order to avoid having to go through the whole legal process, the owners decided to shut down shop, shut down the store. So Ben ends up apparently filing a new lawsuit, this time against them personally. They live in Utah. So Ben apparently flew out there in order to effectuate serving these people the legal papers, and that is where everything went haywire.
This is what we're required to do from the United States court. So we're just following the instructions of the government.
He does not want the paper. So
He does not want the papers?
here's that back for you.
Okay.
He wanted you trespassed. Okay, but I'll just stand over here. Do you have any weapons or anything like that on you?
No.
Okay, let's put your hands behind your back.
Am I being arrested?
You're under arrest right now for stalking.
They're arresting me because this guy stole a bunch of Legos.
And he was accused of also sending people to the house too, putting up a sign, and this is where it all got really messy. Now, police were called multiple times over the course of several days. This was back in March. They apparently raided the Airbnb where Ben was staying. They arrested him. Ben now faces stalking charges, a targeted residential picketing charge. It's a giant mess. And just this week, Ben posted a new video claiming someone had hacked the American Fork Police Department and released unredacted body cam footage.
Someone actually hacked into the American Fork Police Department and released all the footage unredacted of my interactions with them. So this is the original footage I got with the redactions in, and this is the new unredacted footage.
Now, the American Fork Police Department says they were just doing their job. They were responding to reports of harassment and stalking. They've released the body cam footage. They've issued statements, and I'll actually read one to you right now. In fact, they basically said that they understand that there's a lot of people out there who've been following the situation online, have strong feelings regarding this underlying business dispute, but at the same time, they indicated their responsibility in Utah wasn't to determine who was right in the business disagreement. Their responsibility was to respond to what they essentially said was illegal conduct. And they say that the fact that someone may believe they have been wrong financially doesn't exempt any individual from the laws regarding harassment and trespassing and stalking or other conduct within their jurisdiction. Now, Ben has always said that they're not telling the whole story. So what did we do? We saw a lot of comments online that this looked one-sided, that you need to hear from Ben. We got Ben. All right, let me bring him on right now. YouTuber Reckless Ben Schneider. Good to see you again. I spoke to you only a few hours ago on my News Nation show, Jesse Weber Live. I'm really happy to have you here on Sidebar because, you know, I'm sometimes limited in how much I can talk at night. This is a full discussion. I want to get into more details now. Thanks for taking the time. I'm going to start with the natural place here. Why and how did you become involved in this whole Lego issue, this Lego story? How did you even find out about it?
So basically, I've kind of gained a reputation online of solving crimes that the police are unable to solve. So at the end of my last video, I basically kind of ran out of ideas. So I was like, I made an email specifically for like ideas. I was like, if you have an idea or if you have a problem that the police can't solve, I'll try to solve it for you. Just email me here. And I got probably like 10,000 emails, and this one just seemed like one of the most injustice out of all of them, where there was this guy who, this family spent their life savings collecting the world's biggest Star Wars Lego collection. It was like a big deal for them. And then they give it to this store trusting that they're going to sell it for them. And then they get like almost nothing back for it. So I was like, how can that happen? Like in America, like, if you steal something, you should get in trouble for that, right? Like, how can a giant corporation just get away with stealing something this massive and like there's no repercussions at all? That's insane. So I was like, well, I'm just gonna go and hear out their side, you know. And when I went in the store, I mean, you can see what happened. They just called the cops on me, and it was insane.
Well, let me back up a sec. When you found out this story, you get in touch with them, right? Did you, when was the lawsuit filed? What was the first thing that you did when you got in touch with this family, which I believe is out of Oregon? What was the first thing that you guys did?
I just heard his story, and then I said, well, I heard your side, now I want to hear their side. And so I walked into the store, and she called the cops on me and said I was harassing her. And she's like, you're harassing, like, all I did was I in the most polite way possible, I said, hey, I think my friend has some Legos in your guys' store. He asked if you could have them back, and you guys trespassed from the store, so I'm just wondering if I can get him back for him. And she's like, she calls the other, she's like, I'm being harassed right now. And she calls 911. She's like, cops, get here. There's a lunatic here harassing me. And so that's how that went, I guess.
And when was that? Because that's different than all the body cam that's come out into the you know, the media.
So in Oregon, the police actually don't wear body cams. They're not required to in the state of Oregon. So I was not able to get any of the body cams for Oregon, sadly. But that was the very end. It was like one of the last days of September, probably like September 29th, I'd say, and of 2025. And yes, that's when the whole thing started, I guess.
When did the lawsuit get filed?
The first one, so we actually did one lawsuit, and then they ended up closing down the whole store. So that ended up actually not working out. I think they closed down the store to avoid paying us. So we're like, well, if we can't sue the LLC, we shut down their store. We'll just sue them personally, you know? And so that lawsuit was filed probably a couple of days before I went to Oregon, I'd say.
So in other words, you couldn't even get this in front of a court, get this in front of a jury, litigate it. They closed the store, so there was nothing left to do. So you decided to go to Utah now to confront Mr. Johnson, right? And explain to us what happened there.
So it's such a long story. So first, before you can get a court case approved, you have to have what's called a good faith conversation. And I mean, every state's different, but in Marion County Court in Oregon, Utah, this is their procedure, I guess. So you have to show actual verifiable proof that you tried to have like resolve it outside of court first before it can get to a court. So I go to Josh's house to basically just talk this out with him, like, hey, like we don't want to take you to court. Can we solve this like adults, you know? And he calls the cops on me, and they let me go, of course, because I didn't do anything illegal. Uh, and then I'm like, okay, well, we had the good faith conversation. My court case gets approved, so we next step, serve him papers. I can't serve him papers because I'm involved in the court case. But I just like literally put on my Instagram story. I was like, hey, anyone want to like help me with the video? And someone reached out, and I felt kind of bad sending her there by herself because she's like a girl going to this unhinged, like kind of lunatic guy who literally the previous day made a false. Yeah, we think he made a false arrest saying we had heroin in our car because we got a 3-hour search on our car the day before. So this guy is unhinged. We found out later that it's good that I probably went with her because he said he was going to shoot the next person that like walks on his property or something. He told that to the police. So basically I was sitting in the car next to him. We got permission from the police. We said, hey, is it okay if we do this? We will sit in the street, like we pay taxes, you know, so like we have a right to be on the street, like the sidewalk. And when he walks outside, then we'll serve him his paper. And the police were like, yeah, that's fine. As long as you're in the street, just don't go, you, Ben, specifically, don't go on his property. And so we're gonna wait for him to come outside, and then the girl was gonna serve him his court paper. But before we could do that, he called the cops on us. And at first the cops were like, okay, like, I see what you guys are doing here. Like, this is the legal way to do it. They leave. He calls the cops on us again. I think the cops just ended up leaving and coming back for probably like a 2 or 3 hour period until finally Josh has convinced the police that this is a fake lawsuit. And we see this in the unredacted body cam footage. He's like, I think he said it's a million, billion, quadrillion % fake is what he said in his exact quotes. And he's now fully convinced that the police department this is a fake lawsuit. So the police officer actually goes and calls the court, verifies it's a real lawsuit, and then after that, that's when they arrest me, I guess. So
let's take that apart for a second. Why not use a process server, right? I understand, and we talked about this last night, like the idea of you can just maybe get anybody to serve the papers, but if you go to an actual process server that has a company that does this all the time, would that have been maybe the way to go? Because they met the law enforcement, maybe Johnson would have taken it, according to your narrative, they would have taken it more seriously. Why not just go to a process server to serve the papers?
So we ended up doing that. We actually ended up having someone officially like from the police department serve it a couple of days later. So we actually ended up doing that. So we did get them the papers. The first time, just 'cause I didn't think we had to, you know, it's $100 to do that. I was hurting on money. I haven't posted a YouTube video in probably like 9 months. So I was running on like my last dollar, and like, why pay money to serve them papers when I can do it for free? You know, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was just my thought process.
I guess the question is, do you think you crossed the line? Because law enforcement says, you know, and they said this in their response, which we'll talk about, but basically they make the idea, I know a lot of people are following this case. I know people have emotions about it. I know people are following what happened to the people, the family in Oregon, but at the same time, you can't cross the line. Like, do you think when they claim that you were stalking or that you were harassing, what's your response to law enforcement about that?
That seems like an excuse. I would say if I didn't want to be served, if I knew I was wrong and didn't want to be served court papers, if I was someone who I knew that I was in the wrong and I really didn't want to go to court, I would say that the process server is stalking and harassing me. That's an excuse I would use if I was in the wrong. Because the law states that serving papers is not stalking and harassment. That's a legal way to do it. That's what the law says. I'm not the one that makes the law. I even told the police officers this, like, if I could just send them an email, like, or a phone call, like, that would be easy. But for some reason, that's not how the court system works. And there was a line, it was his property, and I didn't cross it.
What about the people that went on the property, right? The idea, or allegedly went on the property, it was, you know, in the body cam. There's like, who's Benjamin Adams to you?
He was just some random person I just met. on Instagram. He runs a Instagram page called like Urbex Utah, I think. He just came and like obviously we're trying to make a documentary about this because I knew at the end of the day, if we can't get the Legos back, if all of our plans fail, what's not going to fail is the video and the audience support and the GoFundMe. So and that is actually what ended up working is we made a GoFundMe and we reached the goal in 12 hours. So
How much?
So the goal was 120,000 because that's the amount of Lego sets that I was told is still in the store. And so 120,000 is what would make him whole. However, we are now at $400,000.
$400,000?
Yeah, it's over 400,000 now.
Gosh.
So obviously filming this worked. And so I just was like, hey, he was like, I have a camera, I can like film you going around like trying to serve him papers and stuff and doing all this. And I was like, okay. So he was just someone holding the camera. And ultimately, that is what got the money back. So everyone that's saying like, oh, I'm stupid for filming this, like I'm just doing this for likes and views and stuff. It's like, no, I'm not doing it for likes and I mean, kind of like the likes and views is what's gonna get Brian his money that he wanted. You know what I mean? So it's like, in a sense,
how's the family doing now that money's been raised?
So they're still a little scared because they're now being sued by Bricks and Minifigs, and they said at a minimum it's going to cost around like $200,000-$300,000 to defend themselves if the lawsuit ends up happening. So I mean they're like super grateful they got paid out with the Legos, but it's like right when one problem gets accomplished or right when one problem gets solved, it just creates another problem now. You know, it's like we had like a tiny bit of relief and then now they're scared again. But I don't know. I think Bricks and Mini, I think this is getting so big now. Bricks and Minifigs would be stupid to sue the people they stole from, but I think they're going to drop it for sure. I don't think they'll drop my lawsuit, but I think they'll drop his.
And they're accusing you guys of racketeering, right? They're accusing you guys of that as well.
They're thinking that Brian is the mastermind who hired me to harass them. Is their story? Where this is just Brian's friend reached out to me because he saw how sad Brian was. He's like, hey, look at this terrible thing that happened. If you want to do a story on it, do a story on it. And I was like, okay. And that's all Brian is involved with this, basically.
I guess the counter argument would be what they're going to put forward is there's a difference between serving papers versus, you know, were people being sent to this guy's property under false pretenses? There was this guy, Christian Morgan, who apparently went to Johnson's house, right? And this is like a kind of more like a religious figure, said like he wanted to talk to, I don't remember, was it Brother Johnson, how he said it? And was it, I guess, to the argument out there, the allegations out there, that you allegedly sent people there under false pretenses to serve the papers or get in contact with Johnson, what would your response be?
The court case wasn't accepted yet, I don't think, at this time. So he wasn't there to serve papers. I was trying to find someone because I'm still trying to fulfill this good faith conversation that the court requires us to have. And I'm trying to think of it from like Josh's point of view. So he probably thinks I'm some crazy lunatic YouTuber. And even if I say the perfect phrase that will like make the most amount of sense, even that he's not going to listen to that. So I think I was like, okay, if I'm just some stupid YouTuber, who would he listen to? I'm like his like Mormon community, you know, like that he would actually listen to them. So I found this guy and was like, hey, like this guy swore to God. I feel like it's a really bad thing to do. And then especially if you like swear to God that you're going to do something and then you don't do that thing, that's probably really offensive to God. And he's going to go to a place called the outer darkness, is what they believe in Mormonism. It's like hell basically for Mormons. And I thought if Josh is truly Mormon, he thinks he's going to hell because in Mormonism, stealing is wrong. So if anything, I'm doing him a favor by like, hey, I'm showing the Mormon community this sin he's committed, and maybe they want to help him not like commit this sin anymore, you know, and like maybe he'll actually listen to them. So that was kind of my thinking on that. It ended up not working at all. But at this point, I'm just like thinking of like anything outside the box. You know, I'm like, okay, maybe this will work. Like, let's try it. Maybe this will work. Let's try it. I'm just kind of spitballing ideas, and we're like, okay, let's send these ideas. You know, and it didn't really end up working, but I thought it was worth a shot. You know.
Have you had any contact with Johnson, like through all this? Did you ever get a chance to speak to him?
I had 3 phone calls with him in the first time I was in Oregon. I think those are in the first video I posted. And then I think once they closed down the store, they ended up finding out about my YouTube channel. And since then, I talked to a mediation after that, but because we ended up successfully serving him and we took him to mediation. And now I guess we have court soon. So I did talk to him in mediation, but I'm sadly not allowed to say what happened in mediation because it's confidential. But
Well, can you tell us what he said? Did he say like where the Legos are or anything like that?
in mediation, no, I wish I could. It sucks because I wanted to film it so bad, but it's like very illegal because
Yeah.
it kind of makes sense, I guess, because if I'm able to film it, then now Josh is going to be like less likely to say his side of the story because he thinks he'll be on camera. And if he knows I'm just going to like say what he said, then he's less likely to talk in mediation. So I could probably get in trouble if I spill the beans, but I will just say he was definitely lying in mediation. It was all a big lie, but he's probably gonna use the same argument in court. So whatever he said in mediation, will probably just be able to make fun of him for it in
Ben,
court.
are you doing this all by yourself, or are you represented by anybody who's giving you, advice?
All
whether it's
by
through
myself.
mediation or anything?
Yeah, everything's myself, which is why the ideas are so stupid because I thought of them.
After everything that's happened, are lawyers reaching out and trying to?
Oh yeah, no, I'm getting reached out by like literally the best lawyers in the United States, and I'm gonna take them on for these now criminal defense things, and I think I'm suing the police department for civil rights for all my friends that got arrested, like unjustly because they literally did nothing, and so I think I'm gonna get them lawyers, but up until now, it's just been all me, which is why the ideas are very stupid, and because no lawyer would ever recommend what I did.
What are you currently facing criminal charges?
Oh, a bunch, yeah.
So
Yeah,
what are you facing?
The first one is stalking when we tried to serve court papers. The second one is stalking when I made the GoFundMe. They couldn't get me for stealing the Legos because obviously they stormed my house. There was no Legos. They tried to get me.
You were accused of that at one point. You were accused of you being the one to steal the Legos?
Yeah, and
The
so
Lego, sorry. I found out that it's not Legos, it's Lego, that's the plural. I found that out.
Yeah, I just found that out too, like 2-3
Yeah,
days
I always
ago.
thought it was
I
Legos.
was calling it Legos the whole time also.
Yeah, but you were accused of that at one point?
So they got a search warrant to search my house for stolen Legos. Obviously, they search the house, find no Legos, and then they just arrest everyone inside, which all the people that were inside, they didn't have probable cause to arrest them. They're just in a house. Like if you search a house, that doesn't give you probable cause to arrest everyone in the house, Maybe you could say I deserved it because I created this GoFundMe. I thought the GoFundMe was legitimate, like this guy got his Legos stolen, let's just get the money back. But I guess in the state of Utah, they don't like it when you reimburse stuff like money for someone who got their stuff stolen. And so I'm doing criminal charges for the GoFundMe. And then I have, so that's in American Fork, but I'm also getting charged in Provo for extortion. So after I basically just talked to the CEO, like, hey, can we please have the Legos back? I was pretty nice to him. And then he calls the police department and says that, I swear to God, it's coming out in the video in like 4 or 5 days. He calls the police department and says, Ben said, if you don't give the Legos back right now, I'm going to burn down the entire building and I'm going to shoot everyone inside. And I'm like, I literally gave the police department the entire raw footage of our entire interaction. That there's nothing like that in there, and they're still charging me for that. And that one's a felony. It's a Class B felony they're getting me for. So I don't know what's going on. I guess we'll find out in court. That's gonna be exciting, but yeah.
By the way, as we're talking about all this, do you regret jumping in on this? I mean,
No, this has been awesome.
Repercussions. It's awesome.
Yeah,
You said it's awesome?
Yeah, my whole career has been basically trying to put myself in like super hard situations and figuring out a way to solve it. And like, okay, we have this huge problem. How are we going to solve it? And now I feel like I got a pretty big problem, right? Like this company's using one of the best law firms in the entire world to try and destroy me from putting out this documentary about them. How do I get out of this problem? It's a huge problem. And I don't know, I can come up with creative ways to get out of it, I guess. So No, it's like peak, like what I live for. You know, I love solving problems. I love doing hard things, and this is exactly what I live for.
What's the response been like? Like, for example, I know the Patreon CEO is like, we want you on the platform. We're not taking down your videos. Like, have you been receiving a lot of like support online from maybe like people like, you know, influencers, celebrities? What's this been like the last 2 weeks?
Oh, it's been insane. Yeah. I think every single top streamer now has like reacted to my video. Yeah, all the top streamers are saying that this is like the best video on all of YouTube, which is crazy. Like to get like that's an insane like compliment. I don't know. And yeah, there's been a few like celebrities reaching out, I guess. They're like kind of crazy people I like really looked up to. It's like, wow, this person watched my video and they liked it. That's kind of like their stuff, you know. It's like kind of like because they're like, I'm your biggest fan. I'm like, I'm your biggest fan. That's insane, you know. So it's like kind of really
Well,
cool.
I mean, this story is huge. This story is huge. Everybody's talking about it right now. And again, just going back for a second, a lot of it's the body cam, right? We did an episode, we showed the body cam, but you believe that the body cam doesn't tell the full story, right? And I think it was yesterday or the day before, more body cam came out. Can you explain to us what the body cam says and what the body cam doesn't show?
So I was in Utah for 4 days. I think it was 4 days of police interactions. And basically, yeah, so there was 4 days of police interactions. And really the only body cam footage that got leaked was a little bit of the fourth day, but mostly the third day. And so we got to see what Josh was telling the police officers. He was basically saying I was threatening to kill the manager of the store, that I was doing all this crazy stuff. Like, and so I think it makes a little bit more sense now why the police arrested me, just because of how much it kind of seems like, you know, like it's like peer pressure, you know, like these like the cool kids are like telling this person like, oh, you got to do all these drugs, you got to do all this alcohol. And like, yeah, I know. And if you just keep pressuring them enough and enough, and finally they just break and do what you were begging them to do. So that's kind of what it seemed like was going on here. You know, he was just begging them like, we have to arrest this guy. This guy's trying to kill me. If you don't arrest him, I'm going to kill him, type of thing, you know, like, and eventually I guess they were like, okay, I guess like we confirmed the court case was real, but we're going to arrest him anyways. And so I guess we have to see that. A lot of the stuff is still redacted, or they would turn their body cams off. So, or like they would turn the audio off. So it's like, okay, we're right about to get to hear like the juicy stuff, and then they just turn their body cam off. It's, I wanted to know what they were gonna say.
So in other words, there's not like, you're not denying what like took place, but you're explaining the context of it and why you were there, and it's being basically you're saying that the way it's being characterized is inaccurate. I mean, let me ask you this, like the sign, there was a reporter's sign, I stole a dying man's life savings, that was put across the street. Did you put that up?
Yeah, for sure. Basically, we found this little patch of land. It's not owned by the HOA, and so it's like a bunch of like gravel and kind of like it like doesn't look clean, because all the other like plots of land, it's like the grass is like super nicely mowed, and this patch of land is just like taken care of. And so we looked it up. That little patch of land is public land for anyone to use. And so I put a sign there that says, and the plan was we're gonna put the sign there. Josh is gonna see the sign. He's gonna walk down and take down the sign. Boom, he's out of his house, serving the papers. Boom, we take him to court, get our money back, give it to Brian. That was the plan. And we have freedom of speech. We're allowed to make fun of people, you know, like we're not, I guess it's not copyright because we're not claiming to be him. Like we're obviously making fun of him. That's what makes America great. You know, I'm allowed to make fun of people. And I feel like I'm rightfully able to make fun of him because that sign is accurate. He did steal a dying man's life savings. And I think he deserves to be made fun of. So I think I take full, what's the word? I take, I'm thinking of, I can't think of a word right now, but I take full
responsibility.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this before I let you go. What is next? What are you going to do next? What are the next steps? What should we be looking out for?
Well, you mean like with the Lego thing? I think what's next? Well, I'm going to court. So they said to me about a 2-year process, and it's going to be the funniest court case ever, if I had to guess. They're getting me for a bunch of fake threats that I never made. They're getting me for a GoFundMe. They're getting me for like sending a Mormon to his house to take him back to heaven because I thought he was going to hell. Like how am I getting, I think they're charging me. I calculated all the charges up in like ChatGPT, and it said I was going to go to jail for 147 years for all the charges. They got me on like 30 charges or something. So it's like I made a GoFundMe and they're trying to send me a life sentence. You know what I mean? Like, how does that make any sense? This is the goofiest court case I've ever heard of.
Listen, Ben, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you explaining the situation and taking the time. Thank you very much. We're going to continue to follow it. You have an open platform to come on, explain the next developments. But Ben Schneider, you can check out his YouTube, Reckless Ben. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
And that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also check us out on NBC's Peacock as well. If you want to follow me, X, Instagram, my News Nation show, Jesse Weber Live, 11 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. I'll see you next time, everybody.